Welcome back to the Gay Racing Podcast. Zach and Alex are back with you to talk about two races this week. IndyCar is back, their season opener at St. Petersburg. We're going to talk about IndyCar first. We're going to get to NASCAR at Phoenix. We're going to try to muster up the courage to talk about NASCAR at Phoenix. That horrible, no good, traumatizing race. Oh my God. They weren't going 4 wide. Hopefully I don't need the crying towel today. My plan's not to get it out. So we'll try to talk about Phoenix if we can muster up the courage.
Can you believe it, Zach? Can you believe it, Zach? Not every race finishes 4 wide, and like we're screaming at our TVs. Like, not every race is like that.
Stop! I don't want it. The tears are coming. I can't.
It's too early for the crying towel. We can't.
It's
we
way
can't
too
do
early.
this.
Oh my God! I can't bring it back 2 weeks in a row. I'm trying not to. And then Michael Andretti is committing treason against the king. The king. He has some very, very aggressive words. I mean, not aggressive, but he's got some stuff to say about Penske's leadership of IndyCar. That's in the tea
hot.
today.
It is.
Oh yeah,
there's some hot tea.
I might burn my tongue on it. Like, holy crap! Like, he's just salty because he didn't get into F1. It's okay. We'll talk about it later. But we're gonna talk about IndyCar first because they kind of had the race of the weekend. Just being back, right? It's the opener of IndyCar, and besides, we're not going to have another real IndyCar race till April, so let's talk about them while we can, right?
But, yeah. Don't get too comfortable. There's not an actual points IndyCar race until April 21st. It is March 11th. Don't get cozy.
But listen,
like thermal is in 2 weeks, but like that race is stupid and pointless.
Oh yeah,
we have to wait
literally pointless
a month and a half. We have to wait a month and a half for the next real IndyCar race, guys. Yeah. So soak it in, get comfortable, and then don't get used to it because we only have this today to talk about IndyCar for a hot minute.
Yeah, but hey, we have a lot to talk about in terms of, as you know, we are JOSEF Newgarden fans. As Taylor Kitchen always like to say, we are not biased, but we are also biased or something. She says something like that. We're JOSEF Newgarden fans. We'll say that right now. You can look behind Alex. I got Joseph's little Indy 500 rather, champion diecast right here. Listen, I don't even know where to begin because we got to get into his preseason prep, the social media thing, the abs.
Yep.
The abs.
Everything.
Like, he dominates in St. Petersburg, won the pole. And it's funny because, right, I'm making tweets all week talking trash. Oh, he's washed. Joseph's washed. Tim Cedric's trying to figure out how to even get in the Fast 12, right? And then I watch qualifying on Saturday, and I'm like, oh, he's in the Fast 6. No, honey, he wins the pole.
I was at my job when you texted me that Joseph got pole. I thought you were joking at first, so I ran to open Twitter. I was like, no.
No, he didn't.
No. Do you mean like first of like outside the top 12?
Right. 13th. He's starting 13th.
That's where he always starts.
Right.
No, JOSEF Newgarden got pole. And if you guys watched our bonus video this past week, I said in there, all he has to do to really be back is qualify better again. And guess what? JOSEF Newgarden watches the Gay Racing Podcast, bonus episodes even. And he did that. He qualifies on pole. He goes out and dominates St. Petersburg. That is the JOSEF Newgarden, Zach, you and I are used to watching and became fans
that we watched in 2019 when he won his championship. I mean, he won St. Pete in 2019 too, right?
Yes.
Yep,
he did.
He celebrated that pole like it was a race win. You weren't watching.
I bet.
He was
I saw
fist pumping. He was like talking to his engineer like, I told you we can do it. And I didn't really know. I don't even know what. Hold on, let me get back on the dock. Like, I don't even know because I want to bring up his preseason kind of like change. He stopped doing Bus Bros with Scotty. He not deleted, but he stopped following people on social media. Like, he became 100% focused on either being an IndyCar driver or being a dad and a husband with his family because that's important as well. But he cut out literally everything else.
Yep.
And it's just, obviously still going to the gym. Still, he's probably one of the more fit IndyCar drivers. You can just look at his arms for 2 seconds and That's not why we're fans. I promise. But is that why he's back? but Penske also was very fast today too, or yesterday. Like, he is so scary. I mean, there's almost not much to talk about because it's just he dominated yesterday.
He did. I would not have bet money on Joseph Newgarden dominating, winning by 8 seconds, by the way, with
That's impressive.
cautions. There is just no scenario I would have predicted that. And like my absolute best case scenario as a Joseph Newgarden fan, yeah, I would have predicted that. But being realistic, that was not on my radar
No.
at all.
After
Like
what he did
this
last
came
year,
out of nowhere.
that's a complete 180.
Yeah.
And that's
On
just like
a road course. If we started at Iowa, oh yeah, sure. We're on a road and street course. He has not gotten a pole in general since in 2 years. Like we've talked about, his qualifying was bad. He gets a pole. He struggled on the road and street courses. He dominates on a street course. And he even said on the radio afterward, like, I can turn right again, or I can turn right too, or something like that. And it's just like he knows.
he knows. The
He
confidence is
fully
there.
knows that there's a problem. He's back, and if I'm Alex Palou, Scott Dixon, I'm kind of terrified because they have. I mean, I know Palou mathematically won out last year, and Newgarden had a rough slope, but Palou and Dixon, they both had a Newgarden who was making up points toward the end of the season because Joseph had to play catch up all season long after slow start. Guys, Joseph Newgarden is leading the points
Race 1.
for at least a month and a half because of this silly schedule. If I'm them, I'm pretty mortified actually because Joseph Newgarden is more focused than he's probably
Again,
ever been.
like, that's
I,
what's
I
sticking
don't know
out
what
to
to
me.
say.
Like, the social media thing just completely. Like, we see drivers that, like, I mean, we were talking about it with Malukas, right? He's spending time
Mhm.
going and, going mountain biking, and he's got to accept the responsibility of him injuring himself. Joseph, oh, honey, he's never going to take that chance in 100 years.
No,
Like,
no.
you have to commend and you have to respect Joseph for making those maybe personal sacrifices. He's not a normal human being.
Yeah.
He's not living like us. He's committed to his job more than most people are. Because he wants to be legendary. Like, he wants to be even more legendary. Like, it's just awe-inspiring to me.
And by the way, it's not like Joseph had a bad year last year. He won a handful of races, including the Indianapolis
Top
500.
5 in points, right? Like,
yeah.
But that's bad for him.
And you and I talked about it. But you and I talked about it. Yeah, it was still a bad season for Joseph Newgarden last year. But it's like he's got it figured out again. I'm just blown away that he is just back.
Like, there's no way this
and
is a
Team
fluke.
Penske as a whole is back.
There's no way he's going to go to Long Beach and not be contending. Like, you don't just do that. You don't just do that. That's not like Kyle Kirkwood wins Long Beach. Like, that's not, and no disrespect to him, but I'm just saying, like, that was a very convincing, no one was going to beat him yesterday.
Mm-hmm. And that's not to say, like, Palou or Dixon or someone else couldn't win Long Beach, but, like, Newgarden, I would say, has to be the new favorite.
Yeah.
Right? And I wouldn't have said that before, and something I was going to say a few minutes ago was Joseph said all weekend to the media, like, I feel like I love my job again. He did not really like his job last year. He wasn't enjoying it.
He's that competitive. I think it's just because he's
exactly.
You enjoy it more when you're competitive, which makes sense.
And I mean, let's just talk about this because, I mean, he's only been one win away from this kind of stat for a while now. But I mean, 30th career win, which is huge. He's now only one win from breaking into the top 10 of all-time IndyCar wins. His next win will be in a four-way tie for 10th with Elio Castroneves, Dario Franchitti, and Paul Tracy. But like that is
Paul Tracy,
truly
what?
remarkable.
That's crazy.
Right?
To be honest, I did not know Paul Tracy had that many wins. That's kind of crazy.
Yeah, I don't know how that happened. We don't talk about that.
Bro must have been cooking.
But when I was growing up, right, and first starting to get an IndyCar, I knew the big names in IndyCar. It was Elio Castroneves, Dario Franchitti. Those were two names that were always winning or competitive.
Yeah.
Joseph Newgarden is one win away from tying them all-time win. That just blows my mind as someone who's been a fan of Joseph since he was just a little rookie in the '67 Sarah
Well,
Fisher car.
I saw today this is his 10th straight season with at least one win. And I'm
Yep.
like, oh my God, he's been doing this for 10 years?
Yeah.
Doesn't feel like it, but yeah. I mean, the math checks out. Like, that's crazy.
Yep. And another stat here that Team Penske posted is that Joseph has now led 4,000 laps in IndyCar, and nearly half of those are at Iowa Speedway. I think it was 1,800
Yeah.
some were at Iowa.
Yep.
That's crazy.
That is.
And to kind of tie a bow on the whole Joseph Newgarden topic, he is a championship contender. Obviously, we were already saying that in our bonus video, Zach. But now
he's the favorite.
He's like toe to toe with Pelot.
I know we're
think
like,
he's on
yeah,
even ground with Pelot.
it's easy to get ahead of ourselves because Pelot still finished 6th yesterday after struggling in practice all weekend, struggling in qualifying, and they still finished 6th. Yeah. Like, if they get qualifying and stuff figured out at Long Beach, Dixon and Pelot, those two mainly, no telling what they can do there. Andretti has a lot of potential. They were very fast yesterday as well. So, if Herta and Kirkwood and even Ericsson, if they get it together, they could maybe challenge Newgarden on pace. But also, again, we talked about it in the bonus video. Penske and Ganassi just have the whole package. They don't make mistakes. Their pit crews are great. The drivers are phenomenal. Like, they're legendary. Like, Andretti's not that quite level. So when you're talking about the championship fight, you're looking at you are still looking at Pelot because he's Alex Pelot. You can't just ignore what he did last season. You cannot ignore at all what Joseph Newgarden just did at St. Pete. That's not a fluke. He's going to go to Long Beach. He's going to be fast. I mean, he won there 2 years ago. Like, come on. And you can also, Scott Dixon. You can't ignore Scott Dixon. Those are the three. And if you want to throw anybody else in there, well, throw Joseph's teammates in there. Scott McLaughlin, Will Power, because they were very fast too, like at St. Pete. Right, 3 of the top 4?
I would also, yeah. Penske finished 1, 3, and I would also say the guy who finished 2nd, Pato Award. You could throw him in there, but McLaren is so hit or miss. We talked about that in the bonus.
I mean, Pato's carrying that team. Like,
yeah, Pato's by far.
Imagine Pato and like Penske. Oh my gosh.
Oh.
But hey, I will say, I'll take a 2nd place finish to find Pato Award. I'll take it. Consistency. That's not a bad thing. That's a great way to start the season. You beat everybody but one guy. Like, I mean, come on.
I believe that is the 8th time Pato has finished. I believe I saw that on Twitter. Something like the 8th time Pato's. And that's probably very.
Yeah.
Team Penske, you touched on it, Zach. They are just having a heck of a year. Talked about this several times now. They are now leading point standing every single series they compete in.
That's impressive.
3 of those series only having 1 race this year. But still,
I don't care.
They're leading NASCAR with Ryan Blaney. They're leading IndyCar with Joseph Newgarden. They're leading IMSA because they won the race before, and they're leading in WEC one well. And they that I don't know if that has that ever happened where a single team is leading every single thing.
Well, remember
that's nuts.
In our Rolex 24 episode, we said no other team could do this kind of stuff except Team Penske. And this is just another example. And I know we're glazing Penske a lot, but but still,
well, I think it's warranted though.
It is. I mean, am I wrong? They're the only organization that can do this. No other organization has that kind of reach, that kind of diversity. I mean, is there what Ganassi only has IMSA and NASCAR teams, I think. They might have something else, but right? Like, Team Penske has stuff in everything, and that's so impressive. Even Andretti, that's kind of like dipping their toes in everything. I mean, they still can't even, like, win that much in IndyCar right now. Like, it's impressive to be that diversified and still be this, like, they're the best. Especially, like, in NASCAR. We've talked about this. Winning the last 2 NASCAR championships, format aside, that's still impressive. Like, that's crazy.
Impressive. And Tim Cindric said that their goal for this year in IndyCar is to have a 2022-like season. And we called that, that was our first time we called the season the year of Team Penske. But then last year we called it the year of Team Penske. And I think we can call it again now we're calling it the decade Team Penske.
Oh, yeah.
But when you look at the stats, last year for Penske and IndyCar wasn't as strong. They were mainly good on the oval, and obviously they won the Indy 500. But Tim Cindric's saying they want to have a 22-like season where, in that year, all three, I believe, are mathematically championship right up till the very end. Look out. Look out, Ganassi, McLaren, Andretti. Look out. If this is the kind of performance that we're going to see from them, where they're all in the top 5, top 4, if I'm the field, I'm terrified.
Oh
Because
yeah.
if Penske has it figured out, they're going to stay Penske perfect. And also, Penske's the only team, really, that stayed sane through the offseason. The biggest thing that seems to have changed is that Joseph is now 100% focused
He's
and doesn't
locked
have all
in.
these distractions.
He is locked in. God, that's so cool to me.
Oh,
That is so cool that he just
yeah.
does that one. I mean, it's more than just that, of course, but he does that, and he's just so locked in. He's so back. I mean, this is not a new Joseph Newgarden. I mean, we've seen him do this before. Again, this is so cool to me. That's why I keep bringing it up.
Yeah, love it. And now let's talk about the race as a whole. It wasn't the most exciting race. I don't think it's a bad because it was a lot of fuel strategy, and I saw a lot of mixed reactions on social media. But this race, I learned and realized was it used to be 110 laps. It used to have 10 additional
That's
laps,
what I thought. Yeah, it's weird.
which would guarantee a third pit stop. And I guess they changed that in 2020. So I guess we've done this 4 times now with just 100 laps. But I'm not sure why this year felt so different. Maybe it was just how
Timing
the
of the
cautions
cautions,
fell and
probably,
everything.
yeah, because
And Will Power said after the race that all they did was they drove in straight line the whole race, not much passing, and they saved. And he said that it's not kind of show. And Power said he would love to add the.
Sorry, can you say that again? Like, it's cutting out.
Oh, sorry.
I think it's an internet
But
thing.
Power basically said they should add the 10 laps back, so they don't have fuel saving for the entire race.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I guess. It's one of those things where it's like, because I'm like NASCAR, I feel like I know all the fuel numbers, like for tracks, but here in IndyCar, I'm like, I mean, I guess. I mean, I would trust Power. I would trust Will on that, but add the 10 laps back. Just because IndyCar, I mean, with how competitive the field is, we don't need fuel strategy like that. Like, it's nice to have if it happens, but I would just add, like, let's have 3 stops. I think more pit stops, the better. It just makes I feel like it makes the strategy more diverse, right? Because, like,
Yeah, I would say.
I don't know. I'm gay.
Yeah.
Just wait till we talk about the short track package in NASCAR. We're really going to be experts then.
Oh yeah, definitely. But this race was okay. I mean, I guess Joseph being good kind of helped it, but it was nothing flashy.
I mean, it was mid. Like, it was mid. Let's not act like anything different. It was mid, but it's also well, I mean, we've seen really good races at St. Pete before. Remember the 2020 finale? I feel like 2021 was a pretty good show too. Even, I mean, last year had a lot of drama. It's just kind of like the Phoenix race in NASCAR. Sometimes races are just boring, and that's okay. It's sports. I mean, not every race is going to be incredibly exciting. I mean, Joseph dominating played a part in that.
And I would say this is for both NASCAR and IndyCar. The boring races helped make the fun, exciting finishes feel more special.
Yeah.
Because if you have an exciting finish, and I think we kind of talked about with NASCAR too, they kind of had a bunch of bangers back to back to back this year. If you have that every week, then it's just kind of like it's not special anymore. You kind of lose like the lust.
Yeah. We still had some passing though. Like after
fine.
restarts, there was a lot of like when Herta and or Rosenquist were like they had some bad restarts and they were dropping a lot. Like those are always kind of exciting because it's like how far are these guys gonna go back? The start, like they went four wide. It was like 4 wide in the turn 1 in mid pack. It was crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Like
yeah,
we had some pretty good racing. It was not completely boring. I wasn't tuned in. I'll take it.
no, I enjoyed it.
Good for a season opener. Again, last year's season opener wasn't it really good last year? Or was that the year before?
If I recall, yeah, it was really good.
There was one year.
I really like seeing.
one of the last 2 years, IndyCar kept having like banger after banger race. I think it was last year. Yeah, they lost.
Because Texas was crazy.
They lost the momentum like kind of in the summer, but the beginning of the year was really good. I mean, that's fine. I think Long Beach. Well, we'll see what thermal is. I mean, to be honest, it's irrelevant anyways because any momentum they would have is going to get killed because we don't race again for realsies until April 20th, 21st. So, whatever. I was pleased. It was cool.
Yeah.
Better than F1.
Now, let's talk about... Yeah, oh God, yeah. So let's talk about a couple drivers that I just want to highlight. Felix Rosenqvist got 7th on debut for Irish Racing. This was MSR's best finish since 2022 Toronto.
He
which
started
was with
second.
Simon Pagenaud.
He had pace all weekend.
Yeah,
One of the fastest guys.
I did not expect that. I was very impressed with Rosenqvist. Very good.
Felix Rosenqvist
Very
has
cool.
that dog in him. He's so underrated. I think
He's so good in qualifying. That's his big...
Yeah.
And I believe I texted you during the race, like, oh, Rosenqvist probably fall back race. He never really did. Kind of just stayed up good. He needs that. And another guy I want to talk about is Roman Grosjean, or as some on NBC call him, Man Grosjean or something. Someone said that in the pre-race. It was
Who?
bad.
I don't know.
Roman Grosjean.
I like how... You talking about Kevin Lee?
It might be Kevin Lee.
No,
Someone
'cause-
said Romain Grosjean.
No, Kevin Lee says
bad.
Romain Grosjean. Like he says it like very French. Was it very French or was it very butchered?
Someone said it like very slowly. Romain Grosjean.
Oh. Yeah, I don't know.
who
Maybe
it
it was the new person. Georgia? Is that her name, Georgia? Maybe it was her. I don't know.
No. It was a guy. I don't know.
Oh, it was a guy. Okay. Well,
But-
doesn't matter.
I don't know. But anyway, he got a penalty for taking out Linus Lundqvist. I think midway or later in the race, but he looked decent before that,
He was a lot faster.
and I think
yeah.
a lot of people underestimated him. I felt like he could perform like that. He was running top 10. Did get a penalty for that contact with Lundqvist, so he didn't finish well.
Well, his engine also went at the end.
Oh, did it? Oh, I don't remember that.
Yeah, he only completed 82 laps because he was
Mhm.
having mechanical problems, so it didn't matter anyways. But yeah,
Right.
Marcus Ericsson had issues like that too.
Yeah.
Which he was running
Yeah,
top
Marcus
10,
Ericsson,
top 5.
he was looking like 6th or so when
Yeah.
he started having issues.
Which that's
Yeah.
that's pretty good for Andretti right now. They're trying to rebuild, so we'll see what they do at Long
Yeah.
Beach.
And so we touched on this with Joseph. He's had a rough start of the year, right? And now that he doesn't have that, this is huge for the overall championship battle.
Mm-hmm.
And we also touched on with Ganassi, and I kind of want to bring those two back together because Alex Palou was kind of a non-factor until really late in this race. He got up to 6th, 13th all day. He qualified 13th. Then Scott Dixon finished 9th. I don't remember anything flashy from him, really. So it's just like, I would say those two are Joseph Newgarden's number 1 and 2 title contenders. It's huge. And this is a short season. There's only 17 races. So, like, that is a huge deal in my... Something that's noteworthy.
Yeah.
Chip Ganassi racing as a whole just kind of felt off. And I wonder if it's because they
have
added
5
a 5th
cars.
car and their
Yeah,
resources are spread too
it's
out.
certainly
I don't
not
know.
helping. Like again, why we said it in our bonus video. Why are they doing that? Like,
Especially when Kiffin Simpson, who by the way finished 14th, I was really impressed to clean. That's solid. But he's really, really young. I don't know if he needed to be moved up, but he had a solid finish. And Marcus Armstrong finished last. He had that early incident. He was the
he made a
one to
mistake.
crash this.
Yeah,
Yeah.
which
And then Lundqvist,
Yikes.
as we said, was crashed Grosjean. So just kind of a forgettable of weekend they'll want to over again.
yeah, and the thing about Palou and kind of talking about the championship is, again, it's so early. We don't know what Palou's probably going to be back to normal in a few weeks, and he's going to really be the monster that he was last year. And I mean, they might also make some gains on the ovals. You never know. I mean, they're racing at ovals more this year. That's more time for them to kind of figure out what they need to do. and he's been a threat at the Indy 500. He's been fast at the Indy 500. My thing is that as a not Joseph fan, as just someone who wants to see a good championship battle, I kind of hope Palou is back to normal, because I want to see Joseph and Palou actually kind of be on equal footing, fighting for the championship, because it's always been Joseph just behind. But now Joseph's getting a strong start that he needs, which is something that Palou's been really good about doing the last few years. This is going to be a very compelling championship, or at least has potential to be. At the same time, if I'm a betting man, I'm betting on Joseph Newgarden, considering, again,
right now, yeah,
all these ovals are still late in the season, and he's already getting off to a head start. Like, that's very, very good. He's so locked in. I do not expect the 2 team, or at least I don't expect Joseph to be making any mistakes. The 2 team, they had a little pit stop. Like, little, I forgot what even happened. It was like the fuel.
It was an issue with fueling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like, just iron that out, and I don't see how that team can really get beat. But again, long season.
I made a tweet saying that Joseph's gonna make his whole pit crew get off, follow everyone on social media, and just
they need to lock in too. Like, come on.
They lock in.
2311 should try that.
Get off social media.
Have your pit crew just lock in.
You made that mistake because you be on your phone. Give me the phone. That's Joseph in the meeting today. Even though they won, Joseph's like, you made a mistake. Give me your phone. That's probably literally happening right now at Team Pit. I'm not even kidding.
Yeah. Well, you know what? Again, the last time I'll bring it up, I swear. Slay of the week to Joseph Newgarden.
Honestly, yeah. Slay of the week to Joseph Newgarden.
That was impressive. Dominates the race. He's back. He's just so locked in. I love it. I just appreciate what he's done to just get back to what he expects of himself, what we expect from him, being one of the greatest IndyCar drivers, the greatest IndyCar driver of this generation, right? And certainly, guys like Palou are going to challenge him for that, especially maybe later in this season, but they're both going to be going for their 3rd championship if they're battling together, won't they? Huh. Storylines.
Storyline. Oh. And then you're going to have the 3 of Scott McLaughlin probably right there with them, I bet. So it's a battle of 3s.
I'm interested to see. Oh my God, that reminds me. Townsend Bell and his stupid, the tasty 2s, the thirsty 3s. I hate that so much. Oh my God, I don't know why I hate it. It's so irrational. The tasty 2, it's so cringe. Stop being cringe.
Speak of NBC,
key. Yeah, we need to bring this up. Oh my God, they were bad.
I don't know if I want to give them flop of the week, Zach. Maybe you would.
Go ahead.
But that was probably their worst broadcast and
ever.
Saved in the past decade at minimum. That was awful. Like the first half of this race was very bad.
So
what happened here? It's like Fox took over.
Let's talk about John Bon Jovi. They're interviewing him on lap 10 in the middle of the race. And I get it. He's a big deal. You're not going to be able, you have to kind of interview him after he does the little ride along, I guess. But you also interviewed him before anyways, so it's like, why? Lee Diffie is like, you're my wife's hall pass. Whoa! Whoa, 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 whoa!
We are on national television. What are we doing?
That's some stuff I would say
and
here.
Also,
what are we talking about?
Yeah, and this is not how you're going to reach the 18 to 49 demographic.
No.
At all. And do I know who Bon Jovi is? Yes. But
do I listen to his music? Absolutely not.
That's not going to bring in our age. I think you and I are qualified to say that.
Now, Shawn Mendes.
We're in the key demo.
Shawn Mendes was there.
And Shawn Mendes, and you and I.
Yeah. Long Beach. Hey, Long Beach is coming up. Yeah, got a lot of celebrities there, but it wasn't just that though. It was every single driver. They're trying to go through the whole roster, be like, oh, this guy got married in the off season.
So apparently the way you have a personality is if you got married.
Well,
there's they're really trying to get you to follow the drivers on social media, but it's just only if they got married. It's just, no. I don't care. I saw way too many wedding photos on NBC yesterday.
During the race.
IndyCar race.
That's something you talk about in practice on Peacock when you don't have commercials. Yeah. And you have plenty of time to kill. Why are we talking about this in the race?
I'm just glad that we didn't get a little video of Colton Herta playing drums again, because I was getting sick of that too. At least we didn't get that. But apparently,
Yeah.
I don't know. This
The
I'm
race
gonna do
was
it.
not
Flop of
that
the week to
boring.
NBC Sports.
Go ahead,
Flop
because
of
it
the week to
wasn't
NBC.
that boring. The
'Cause,
race
like,
was
what
not
is
that
this?
boring, and
And
it's fine to bring it
also,
up. Like here's
yeah.
Santino apparently got married, which Jesus Lord. But like you
Somebody
can bring
even
it
got
up.
married. Like, I don't care.
Santino Ferrucci, and he just got married in the off season. He's having a great run today. Whatever, like that's fine. We don't need to see photos right now.
hmm
Well,
That take up the full screen.
yeah.
Mind you. And then they did full screen replays, which is something Fox Sports does all the time, and it annoys the hell out of me. NBC did that.
They do that in
apparently,
F1
several
too,
times.
like after the start, and I kind of get it in F1 because it's not like anyone's passing right now. Kind of after the start, like they get all single filed out.
Yeah.
But it's just like,
But like,
bro, can you at least like just put it in the corner so we can see what's actually going on?
yeah, and NBC is usually good at that. Like, what happened? Did we get a whole new production crew?
Is it like
This is a contract year for NBC and their TV contract. Are they
Yeah.
out?
I don't know.
What is
That
going
that
on?
is weird. Because the driver thing can almost be like, well, let's market the drivers more in the middle of the race. Like, no, that's not what we meant. But then the thing about
someone very out of touch was like, there's
yeah, I think the full screen thing is just some. I mean, they've done it before, so it's just not as often.
yeah, but like it was still early in the race. Cars were still pretty close together. It just was and they were doing that long period. I feel like
Well,
they missed at least a
there's the
full
one
lap.
segment where they were talking about whose wife was it? Was it VK's wife? And how she's like a personal trainer. Like they were talking about his wife so much, and then
Yeah, like the boxing.
it's just like,
It was just like,
wait a minute, is she in the car? Like, why are we talking about her? I love it. It's cool. Why are we talking about her? Like,
we could have had a whole segment pre-race, and I know they have a short pre-race show. You could have had like a little montage of like all the drivers who got married, and just like have a little montage of everything that they do and the
well,
wives and everything. It's just like the NBC broadcast turned into an IndyCar wife rumors and drama channel.
yeah, that's what
It's
we
just
do
like,
on here. Like, what do we do? Why are you
yeah,
stealing our job?
save that for the gays.
Save it for the gays. We'll break out. We'll
Don't-
break down the drama. And
We
one
don't
more
need Lee
thing.
Dippy talking about this.
One more thing. Oh man, I forgot what I was gonna say. ADHD. It was something about like Oh, I saw the same like the James Hinchcliffe narrating like the silly season changes. I saw that same like feature like 3 times this weekend. It was getting really annoying. I saw it practice, qualifying, and the pre-race. I'm like,
Yeah.
come on. I get it. Some people
They
didn't
do
watch
tend to
practice
do
and
that.
qualifying. Yeah, I get it. But like, shut up.
Yeah.
Whatever.
And also that's again another pre-race thing.
Yeah.
Very disappointed in NBC because I know they can do better. So
Rare
that's
L
not
from NBC. They lost it. They're having a horrible month. They lost Dale Jr. NASCAR and they
yeah.
did not open the
Was
IndyCar
Dale
season
Jr.
well.
the bread the bread and butter that kept them together over there? Like
He was
what
secretly just
happened?
running the show the whole time. Like Redneck Jesus.
And side note, Dale Jr. tweets at Fox like last week or 2 weeks ago and is like, "We need wider camera angles." And then Fox has like only wide camera angles. I love it.
Redneck Jesus. Dale Jr. is the most powerful person in NASCAR, and I don't think you can argue that. He's more powerful than Jim France. Like, and he's a CEO. Like, he's so powerful. It's crazy.
Yeah, I true. So now let's shift gears over to NASCAR. Quickly though, we mentioned our IndyCar tier list video. Check that out. It's on the
It
YouTube
was
channel.
really good.
We're not gonna talk about every single driver and everything because we did that there. Save some time for the actual podcast. So
And a
check
lot of
that
it
out.
kind of came true. I don't think there was any big surprises, honestly. Like, from St. Pete,
I think
of course.
Joseph is the biggest surprise. Like
Actually, yeah. Joseph's probably the biggest surprise because I think we knew he would be better this year because he's not going to get worse. But, hey.
Right.
But, yeah, let's talk about NASCAR. Let's talk about NASCAR Phoenix.
Yeah.
Oh.
Car.
New
Phoenix.
short track package. That's all everyone could talk about this week, which I get it. It's new. We'll talk about the package later, but let's talk about Christopher Bell first, who, in my tier list video, NASCAR, I called him a B tier driver. I called the 20 team a B tier team, like the whole package, driver, team, everything. B tier. Because to me, A tier is you win championships, right? And this 20 team, they're really starting to get into their form, and I think it's because Christopher is starting to, he's experienced. This is his fifth season now, right?
Is it? It might be.
He won 2 races last year, maybe 2 races the year before, or 3, I think. No, he won a lot of races. I think 3 races in 2022. But he's getting there. He's starting to win more races. An early season win like this is really cool. I think it's really good. You know what? You got to pencil him into the championship 4 as a championship favorite after this, because I think he's only going to go up. And yesterday was a very impressive drive. There's some weird strategy in the late stage. He drove through the field several times, which, this package sucks. They can't pass. Well, Christopher Bell, he passed. He passed a lot of guys yesterday, which is really impressive.
He was like the only one who was really able to make a bunch of passes.
Yeah, because even the Toyotas were really fast yesterday, but even Reddick had trouble getting through the pack late. Truex, he did pretty okay. Hamlin had trouble though, so it was car to car.
Yeah.
But,
so yeah, good win for Christopher Bell and Toyota, man.
Oh my god!
If they keep this for the Phoenix in the fall with this new car, they're probably the favorites.
Yes and no. It's really easy for us to draw conclusions, but also this is the first race. Who said it? It was one of the podcasts I listened to today. It's you have to remember that, these teams are going to have all these short track races to catch up through the season. Phoenix is the first short track race and the last short track race. So it's
yeah.
And we always see every single year, remember Martin Truex won the 2021 Spring Phoenix race and then gets completely outdone by the 5 team in the Phoenix championship race, right? So it's just a thing. It's a thing that happens. But at the same time, though, you can't deny how fast Toyota was. 5 of them were running up front yesterday.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
And you also can't deny how slow Chevrolet was. Because besides Trackhouse, where were they? Because they were hardly ever there. Trackhouse finished 6th with Ross Chastain and 13th with Dan Suarez. And then after that, you had Hendrick cars, Larson 14th, Byron 18th, Elliott 19th, and Bowman 20th. That was the next kind of group of all the Hendrick. And then just Chevrolet was just not factor.
Yeah. And that's kind of what we saw at the end of last year, I feel on the short tracks. Ford, or mostly Blaney and kind of Buescher-ish, and then Toyota, they were just faster on the short tracks. It kind of, I got to pull up my average finishes, but it kind of showed in the stats too. Larson was the only one really kind of good on the short tracks. Byron wasn't even really that good. So that kind of checks out from last year. But even, again, Larson was nowhere to be seen yesterday, which, new package, whatever. But so Chevrolet's got some work to do. RCR's garbage, which doesn't really surprise me. I didn't realize Kyle Busch was running last at a point.
Kyle Busch was running last start of the race. He qualified 33rd, I believe.
Yeah.
And he ended up wrecking at a point, but I believe he still finished 23rd, 24th. So he kind of rebounded, but that's still not something to be proud of. Austin Dillon crashed Lee. RCR is kind of messed. And your prediction earlier in the year was Kyle Busch won't make playoffs. If they keep that up,
I said they wouldn't, right? Because that's kind of how I feel. Especially now, I got to pull up the point standings, but I'm not very convinced. They're gonna have a good season.
Kyle was leading the points after Atlanta, so he's probably still.
That's crazy to me because I guess he didn't wreck Atlanta. He had a really good start to the year. It was just mistakes kept taking him out of a chance to win, and then he gets to the short tracks and they're just they're out to lunch, they're nowhere. Which, you can't do that, man. You got to be a little bit better than that. You're Kyle Busch. You're Kyle Busch. Yep. But he's with RCR, and we've seen what Austin Dillon's been doing, or the lack of what Austin Dillon's been doing, and I don't know. It's just they're just not the same. They're not there. It's weird. But then I don't know. The LA Clash is a very different track, of course, but he was fast there, so it's weird. I don't know.
Did you get your average finish or stat you were looking for up?
Oh, kind of. I didn't really need to reference it. I kind of had it memorized.
Oh, okay.
But
Okay.
yeah, like last year on short tracks, I mean, it was Larson, Truex, Hamlin, Buescher's in there, Logano's in there somehow. It's a lot of Toyotas and Fords. Like Chevy's not really anywhere to be seen.
Yeah.
So
makes sense.
Yeah.
So little note here, I just thought this was fun. After last week with Chastain's comment toward Blaney after the race, then Blaney responded. I thought it was kind of fun that Blaney made this really late last lap move on Chastain to steal fifth.
From the outside.
Like Blaney had a ton of momentum on the outside.
That was really impressive.
And, took fifth. That was probably the best part of the race, actually. Like, it was pretty exciting.
That was actually, and that's my favorite part about Phoenix battles, is because they stay side by side forever, and that's just, they've always done that at Phoenix, to be honest. Like, it's just hard to pass there, but it makes it fun to kind of watch a battle, because it's like who's gonna give up first, or whose car is gonna give up first, right? And it's very poetic to see Blaney just like slingshot on the outside of Chastain for position at the track where this kind of rivalry started. That's right. We're not done. I love it. Every single week there's a little thing with these two guys. I love that. That's so cool.
Yeah, it is cool. And so let's talk about something a little not cool. The short track package, they made a little adjustments to it. Zach, is it too early to call the adjustments they made?
Man, that race was
failure? What do we think?
Awful yesterday. I couldn't even sleep last night. Like, I was up so worried about it. I couldn't even sleep last night. I called out of work today. Like, I haven't been eating. To be honest, Alex, we might have to cancel the podcast because I think NASCAR is it's over. Like, that race was so garbage yesterday. They weren't going 4 wide across the start and finish line at the finish. Christopher Bell had the largest margin of victory in the next gen era, which, for real, whoa, that's kind of crazy. I did not realize, and it was only like 8 seconds, right? Or something.
Yeah.
But
like, how could that happen?
How could that happen
in modern day NASCAR?
How could that happen?
Where's my 3 wide finishes?
What is going on? That's unacceptable. I'm not gonna get the crying towel, but I'm very upset. We gotta do better. Fix it. Wah.
Wah.
Like, for real, I thought the championship race at Phoenix was good.
Same.
I thought yesterday's race was compelling. I had trouble staying focused on it, but it was mostly because of IndyCar fatigue and I'm ADHD. That's just a me thing.
I think that was my problem too. I was like,
I need to work on that.
I was so hyped from JOSEF winning that the NASCAR happened. I was just kind of like out of it.
Well, I was also messing. I was messing with NR 2003, and I need to stop doing that. I need to delete that from my computer. I hate that. I hate it, and I love it. Anyways, Christopher Bell. Watching Christopher Bell. Well, also TV needs to focus on that more. I mean, they weren't focused on Bell coming through the field, which they should have been, right? They weren't really focused on Truex coming through the field till the very end, and that was kind of compelling to watch. Because he made up a lot of spots at the end. Again, I mean, we saw Blaney do that slingshot on Chastain. They could race better. The drivers, from the most part, said that the racing's better. I would listen to Actions Judgmental because Denny talks about it better than I could ever because we're gay. Mm-hmm. It's just like there's the whole horsepower talk. There's the whole talk of like, why even adjust aero on a short track? And I get that. It's a little dumb. There's still things that they could probably do with the next gen car, like shifting. I'm still of the opinion that the next gen car is too complicated. Like, why does a stock car have a diffuser? Like we're rednecks. What are we doing? Like, rednecks don't even know what a diffuser is. Like, what are we doing? I don't know.
Rednecks, gay people. We don't understand.
We don't understand what a diffuser is. But I don't know. I think the next gen car, I'm hoping that there's still more they can do to it because we can definitely do better. Also, this is just one race. Martinsville is going to be a true test, and my hopes are my expectations are kind of mid on that. Next week apparently doesn't even use the short track package.
Yeah, it doesn't. Bristol. I thought it did.
Does it use?
The teardown says it doesn't.
Wait, do they use the intermediate package then? I guess.
I don't know. I thought it did. I guess did it use it? It must have been using it.
Well, weren't the packages the same last year? I think they were.
That's what I thought.
I think they were then. Okay, they were then. Okay, I think.
We might be wrong.
I don't know. Again, we're gay. Someone let us know, because it's not that like we don't know what we're talking about. It's more that like I feel like stuff's been changing a lot. Like,
yeah.
I feel like the Gen 6, I was very like keen to knowing what exactly was going on, but it's hard to keep up with this car.
And the whole mechanical engineering stuff, I don't understand a lot of. I just know when racing looks fun and good.
Yeah.
I can just visually tell. And yesterday was better than what we had in 2019 and 2020. So
yeah, and it's what you said about IndyCar last year. There's got to be boring races. It's kind of like what I said in the Daytona 500 episode, where this is a sport. Sometimes the story won't be as compelling or exciting, or sometimes the racing won't be exciting, but it's the little things. Like, again, the story of Christopher Bell, that's what I'm kind of fixated on, because he just got a win in a very dominating fashion. It was still kind of Christopher Bell fashion, where he comes in late, but he was up front all day. Like, he did not steal that. Like, that was one of his first wins where I don't really think you could say he stole it. Like, that was really impressive. And I'm excited to see him grow into the A-tier driver that we know that he is. And I'm excited to see the 20 team possibly reach greatness. So,
yeah.
Because Adam Stevens.
This was Christopher Bell's.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
This was Christopher Bell's 7th career win. He's starting to rack them up.
And that's in, 4 years, 7 career wins. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. I think he's on pace with, like, what Larson did. Well,
our friend Jackson Todd, he has a website now. Check him out on _JTodd14. He tracks all this kind of stuff, and he'll tell you exactly how he's tracking. Guys, I'll have to go look and see what he said about win. But, yeah, Bell's going to be a superstar. He's going to be around for a long time, and we're starting to see that.
Did you see that clip of him talking to Bob in the media center?
I did. It was cute.
That was cute. He's funny. Cute. He's got personality.
Yeah. He just don't need to give him a chance. I know he can be a little boring on the outside, but like you have to look if you just pay closer attention to what he does. He's got a bit of drive.
Yeah. His car looked good yesterday too. I kind of did not like the Ream car at first, this new look, because I'm used to like the black and red, but this black and white, ooh. The new Toyota body in general is really warmed up to me. But Adam Stevens, as Kevin Harvick says, has that dog in him, which that was really funny actually. If you've seen us on Taylor Kitchen's show Above the Yellow Line, you'll know why that's so funny to us. But Adam Stevens is like an underrated crew chief. I kind of forget he won 2 championships with Kyle Busch, and it's just like this 20 team is capable of so many cool things. I mean, Christopher Bell is going to be the face of JGR. Well, it might be kind of like a Jeff Gordon, Jimmy Johnson type of deal with Ty Gibbs. So, Ty Gibbs was fast.
Ty Gibbs is getting better.
He's getting so good.
Ty Gibbs is getting...
Dude.
Ty Gibbs is going to win a race. I keep saying it.
This is unrelated to fantasy, but like watch him at Bristol. Like, oh my God. He almost won that race last year. Like, I don't think I'm going to pick him. I don't know yet, but it's like... It's like, ooh, like it would not surprise me if he wins at all. Like he's a good dark horse, if you can even call him that.
Yep.
But yeah, Toyota fast. That's what Christopher Bell's good. Toyota's fast. It's okay that this race was boring. Kyle Larson is still the GOAT. This is still the year of Kyle Larson. And this stat about passes.
Yeah, I was just gonna say.
Yeah.
So, to be fair to this changes NASCAR made, there were 2,813 passes, which is the most in the Gen 7 era at Phoenix specifically. Last fall, which you and I said we both really liked that race, had 2,201. So this race did have a bit of a bump in passes.
Yeah.
So I mean,
and I hate stats like that because they always feel so fake. Like the one that they kept sharing at Martinsville, but I believe it because again, you saw Christopher Bell go through the field, you saw Truex go through the field. Like, I think the guys who got stuck in traffic just didn't have good cars. That's kind of the consensus. Which, whatever. But again, that's the standard for the... Oh! We have some tea, though, to talk about Perfect
Yes.
transition.
Let's get into the tea. We're gonna stay on the topic of Phoenix,
Oh yeah.
kinda. So grab your tea real
Something's
quick
not
and
staying
be
at
ready to do
Phoenix
it.
though.
You might be doing a spit take if you haven't listened to the teardown yet. So take a sip real quick. I'll let you do that. And then you can do your split take here in a second. Uh, Jordan Bianchi predicts, not reporting, but he predicts that on the teardown that Homestead Miami Speedway is going to be the championship finale again in 2020. This
And
is
that
again a prediction and not a report.
an informed prediction. He did say informed
Yep.
prediction because he's been talking to people, and that makes sense.
It does.
Because Phoenix sucks. Homestead Mile and a Half Racing's so much better. Homestead's already had the date before, and it's iconic. Everyone loved it. That's what you have to do, if you ask me. And I think that is, if as long as they keep the intermediate racing good, that's great. I'm 100% for it. Totally not because I'm a Larson fan. Dude, Tyler Reddick and Kyle Larson are about to become NASCAR legends.
No, but Zach, Christopher Bell too.
Christopher Bell
Christopher
too.
Bell is really good at Homestead too. If we might get a championship 4 if they go back to Homestead with Bell, Reddick, and Larson.
Well,
And then you could throw someone like
Byron.
Blaney in there too. Byron?
he's
Like,
won at
yeah,
Homestead
there are
before.
so many good drivers for a Champ 4 at Miami. I would
Good
be
race car
so
drivers win at Homestead
for this
too.
to happen.
That's what I like about Homestead. I feel like good race car like with how NASCAR racing has become and the cars have a lot of grip. I feel like Homestead's one of the harder tracks on the schedule because you have to ride the wall, right? Like, and I think having that be the championship race is so perfect. And you have options, you have lanes, even though it's, maybe a track like Kansas or Las Vegas is technically better because the bottom's a little bit better there. Like, you have a little bit more options. Still, like, it's a perfect track.
I would love this. And as we said, Jordan Bianchi would not go out and do this if there wasn't like a lot of track. So
This gets me excited.
it gets me very excited. I'd be willing to bet that this is actively, I mean, obviously it is, I'm assuming, it's actively being talked about.
There's no way this doesn't happen.
For this to happen.
I love how...
And by the way,
yeah, keep going.
The schedule for 25 will probably get announced later in the year. So like they're obviously working on it.
You know what's so funny? The schedule is just slowly going back to what it was in 2019. Remember when COVID happened and they made all these changes? Indy road course, Bristol dirt, championships at Phoenix, Daytona's the last race before the playoffs. I feel like all that stuff is getting reverted. The Brickyard's been reverted. Bristol's back on concrete. Homestead's probably going to be back as the championship. I feel like Daytona's going to be back in July 4th soon. Atlanta's probably going to be the new season finale. I love how we're just going back.
Yeah, because we all hated 2019 so much.
Oh
they blew up the
God.
schedule. But now they have a car that would make 2019 schedule be awesome.
People want Chicagoland
so
back.
funny.
The Charlotte Oval. Well, that's 2017, but still, they want the Charlotte Oval back. Oh my God.
People want Kentucky back.
People want Kentucky back. Like, what? Phoenix was not that bad, y'all. Come on. Y'all don't want Kentucky back, do you? In the middle of nowhere. No. I don't want to race at Kentucky just because I feel bad that people have to drive 3 hours to get there. Like, I just to watch that race.
The one constant between now and 2019 is that Texas still sucks. That's the one thing.
You're right. You're right. I bet the spring race there will be a lot better too this year. It's better vibes.
We'll see. I don't know if I have. Well, it ain't in the playoffs, so you know what? It won't matter as much. So maybe be like, okay,
it might be a momentum killer.
Texas.
But no, that's just cool. That's something I just realized about the schedule. Harvick mentioned it on the broadcast yesterday. I'm like, they bring the Brickyard back and Bristol Concrete after I retire. Like, now they're gonna bring Homestead back too.
He was bitter about that. I thought that was funny.
But hey, talk about Larson though. I mean, Larson, and again, he's gonna win some championships, man. I'm calling it right now. That's gonna be great.
And speak of someone that wins championships, and we're gonna kind of shift over to something that's also really, really spicy hot.
What championships is he winning? Hold up.
maybe about a decade ago.
I'm about to say he
I
has
was
not
trying.
won in a while.
Was trying to do a transition,
You didn't
Zach. I
do
was
it
trying to
well.
transition.
You was trying to you did that transition like Austin Dillon did yesterday. Good lord.
Well, thank you. So, Michael Andretti has given some scathing thoughts on Penske Entertainment's
Scathing.
ownership of IndyCar and the charter proposal that has happened. Michael Andretti says Penske should sell IndyCar if he's, quote, unwilling to properly invest significantly more into the series. And then, quote, you've got to have 5 times that number, 20, which is 20 million, because they want each team put in $1 million for the charter. And there's roughly 20 cars, at least. You need 5 times more than 20 million. And it's like, don't take our money, meaning the teams, Roger. You bought the series. We, the teams, don't own the series. This is all from Nathan Brown of the Indy Star. He talked to Michael Andretti. Check it out. Very interesting, fascinating.
So
Check it out.
from so he's basically complaining that the too long didn't read is that he's mad that Penske is asking the teams for money when he needs to be putting more of, that Penske money into the sport and invest instead of making the teams have to pay for it. Which makes sense because, being a race team, you're paying for enough stuff. And you're putting on the show too.
I bet a lot of these teams, if any of them are making a profit, I'd be profit. So this is very interesting for a team owner to publicly say that that Penske
about
should sell.
Roger Penske.
Yeah.
God.
And I get what he's saying. I do.
I get it too.
A lot of the off-season IndyCar looked like it was on fire. It was just a disaster all off-season, one thing after another. It's not a good look right now for IndyCar. I mean, they had a okay season opener, but there is a lot of turmoil, and now we have a month and a half break in the point schedule. That's not good. We talked about that. And look, Michael Andretti, he was trying to get an F1. There's rumors of him going to NASCAR eventually. And he even says in this article as well that IndyCar should take a page from IMSA, and instead of trying to get one manufacturer, because IndyCar's been so hell-bent on trying to get one new manufacturer, a third one, Michael Andretti says they should take a page from IMSA and try and get multiple all at once. Because IMSA has a variety of manufacturers.
Well, yeah, but that don't make sense to me. What's the difference between trying to get one more and getting more than one? I'm confused.
Basically, he's saying IndyCar needs to be more open, like have a wider mind rather than just being so single-minded on trying to get to one and do one little. Okay. And they can't even do that.
I see.
They should try going beyond.
Open up the regulations a little bit, I guess, with like engines and stuff. Yeah. I feel like that's what David Land's been like calling for, from what I understand. Mean, again, I'm not too big onto the history of IndyCar, and obviously it's a spec series, and there's only so much they can do with the cars. But I don't hate that idea of like opening up the regulations to. And the thing I've gotten, the vibe I've gotten with IndyCar is they've been kind of sitting on their hands a little bit, like just waiting for something, like when they need to be more proactive. I feel like with growing the sport, like I feel like NASCAR does a great job of being proactive. Like they do all these cool things with the schedule. They do all these the thing I was just talking about, the schedule. Like they do all these cool things with the schedule, see what works, right? Some of it does, like the Charlotte Roval. Some of it doesn't, like Bristol Dirt, whatever. The Clash, cool, whatever. They do a new car. What else have they done? They do a lot of stuff with like their social. Like I feel like NASCAR has really invested into their social. Something that IndyCar can't really say they have still. Like there's still just something lacking there.
IndyCar needs their version of Ben King.
Oh yeah,
because I think
that's probably what
the mass majority of
big difference is. Someone young.
The mass majority of everything you just listed, I think Ben Kennedy is a huge part, or at least big pusher of everything you just listed. He's just, let's try all these new things. I know like the LA Clash, for example, is like one. big things. IndyCar needs a Ben Kennedy. I don't know who that would be,
Yeah.
but Michael Andretti says other people would be interested in buying the series or even keeping Penske in as like the sole owner and bringing in like investors to do a lot of the outside work and let Penske just kind of own it. So it's like a stable thing. But
I
Penske
think that's
apparently
fair.
doesn't want partnership. He wants to solely own it. So
Oh, I can see how this is getting toxic.
yeah.
Like I can
Yeah.
understand why Michael Andretti has concerns. It makes total
Yep.
sense to me. Yikes.
Yep. So we'll keep following it, but that not sunshine and rainbows in IndyCar. I mean, I'm happy the series is back at least for a week, but yeah,
Yeah, now we're gonna go
not
waste
ideal.
money at Thermal. Maybe it'll be a
Yeah.
good show. I don't know. We'll see.
It'll be
It'll be something. Yeah, it's a
fantasy,
shame.
Zach.
Oh, yay! Sunshine and rainbows. Well, listen, let's not
Yeah,
get
speak
too
of
down
sunshine
about
and
it.
rainbows.
Let's not get too, because listen. So you picked McLaughlin, he gets third. I picked Pillow, he gets sixth. Listen, at least my guy didn't like finish outside the top 10. I
Y'all.
gotta stay positive.
I gave this boy Alex Pillow
No.
for free.
Listen,
I did.
Listen,
I admitted it. I was
this
being
is
a
like,
good friend and
remember,
let you have Alex
again,
Pillow.
you're not funny. Remember at Iowa, we both picked the exact same drivers and you still won both? It's not like, this isn't new. You don't even need to explain
That
it.
one was
Again,
funny.
yeah, like it is what it is. Like I'm used to it. It's fine. I still plan to win the championship. I just gotta keep digging. I don't know. Yesterday wasn't my day. Hopefully Long Beach is, but it's okay. We don't have to talk about it until So are we agreed that Thermal's going to be a non-points fantasy?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because it's
we'll stick with the same. We'll be consistent with NASCAR.
Yeah.
That it just won't be points. I did think like, well, what if we made it points, blah blah blah. But like, I
yeah.
don't care about Thermal.
Because also it's like
So-
we don't care about Thermal, and also like they've never raced there before, so it's really hard to make picks anyways. So it's just like we'll make picks for fun, but they won't count.
Yeah.
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 So,
And that we won't do that. I think that'll be next week's episode. My count.
should be.
So.
And then
So, we are
NASCAR.
going. Yeah.
What happened with NASCAR?
Oh yeah.
I picked Hamlin.
NASCAR.
You picked Truex. Hamlin won the pole very fast. Then, of course, he makes a mistake and spins out because I picked him.
So
How much?
he remembered that Zack had picked him, and that ruined his track position. He would have still beat me even with Truex pushing through the field with the fresh tires at the end. Would have beat me still because Hamlin would have been like top.
So irritated.
And also, Truex had a weird strategy at the end. I don't know exactly what James Small was cooking. It wasn't. I mean, they still
Well,
finished 7th,
Yeah.
but managed to be enough to beat you in fantasy. So I will take it. Thank you, James Small and Martin Truex Jr.
Again, not my week. Just not my week.
not
Try
your
again
week?
next week at Bristol. All right, let's pull up my pick. Back at the concrete. I will not be going because it's going to rain.
Yeah, remember how Zack was like, "I'm gonna go to Bristol Spring if they make it. If they don't make it,
I
to
never
dirt
said it would
race
be the
next
first
They
year.
do that.
I never said it would be the first year they do it.
You said as soon as they take the dirt off, you would go.
Yeah. If it wasn't my spring
Liar,
break, if I
liar.
wasn't going to Richmond, if I wasn't going to the Indy 500, I probably would, but I just don't think I can afford it. And I don't want to like do it on my vacation because it's at the very end of my vacation and I'm not trying to do all that. So
Like I get it. You are doing the Indy 500. That's gonna be a big.
like
gonna be a lot of
I'm
energy.
still trying to decide if I'm going to go to Richmond because I'm just like, girl, whew. Because that's going to be my last like kind of break before my job's hard to explain because I don't like talking about it, but like summer's pretty good for my job. Like I'm off during the summer. But like, I don't know. It's whatever. Anyways, I have a pick lined up for Bristol. Are you ready?
All right. I do as.
Mine's not really full screen, but I guess it doesn't matter. All right. So you're ready?
Yeah.
All right.
Do it.
3, 2, 1. And so I'm
Dennis.
picking Kyle Larson and you're picking Denny Hamlin. Aren't these our same picks that we had last fall. I don't remember.
It might be.
Denny was my number 2. Denny was my number 2.
Oh, okay.
Kyle, I only picked Kyle because his history at Bristol is just really good, and I can't ignore it.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I thought about Larson. I really did. And I know that Bristol doesn't have the short track package, but after seeing how
Could the
Toyota did on a short track, I feel like you have to pick a Toyota. I almost went with Bell. Then I was like, I don't think you could do 2 in a row.
He was my number 3.
Yeah. So I'm going with Dennis. And you mentioning Ty Gibbs early. If
he's my number 5.
Ty Gibbs wins, and this is if Ty Gibbs wins this weekend, I would not be surprised. I could totally.
Yeah.
I just don't want to make that pick until he actually gets it. I think once he gets it, he's going to be consistent with it.
Yeah. Well, thanks for the Larson pick. So.
Yeah.
I need him to win.
I'm a good friend.
I need him. Listen, I need him to just have that dog in him this weekend. I really do. Because again, it's Bristol.
Well, maybe Denny can put him in the wall again, and then be happy.
I don't think that's going to happen.
Right?
I think, again, this is the year of Kyle
I'm
Larson.
kidding.
It's the year of Kyle Larson. It's like this year's going to be different with him at Bristol and him and Denny. So, and he's never won the Bristol Spring Race because, he's never won it. So, might be the first time. First time for everything.
Yeah.
But yeah, Denny's he was my second pick, and definitely watch for Toyota. But again, we're not running the same package, and we saw at Las Vegas.
Yeah.
Which obviously Las Vegas and Bristol are very different, but Bristol and Phoenix are also very different. So it's just like it's just a completely new track that we haven't been to yet this year.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, we'll see what it goes. Hopefully, it's my week.
Yeah. I would also throw Martin Truex in there.
No,
but
don't. He's bad at Bristol.
James Small scares me.
No, he has an average finish
I don't know
of
if I
20th.
want to pick him again.
Truex has an average finish of like 20th at Bristol. I don't know if that's recently or like all time. He's bad at Bristol. Like he's actually really not good there. So do not pick him. Chris Buescher.
Say,
watch Chris Buescher.
Brad Keselowski was on my radar. If we went back and forth for a bit, I was probably gonna pull out Brad.
I'm not pulling out no Brad Keselowski, but Chris Buescher. And it's not because he won there. It's because he won there and he finished like top 5 there, I think, in last fall. And he was really good at Phoenix. He was just really good at Phoenix this week. So I'm like confident in the race team. So if it's got Blaney.
I was just gonna say Blaney could totally do it. See, there's a lot of guys who could win this race. We just listed off 10.
Yeah.
I would say Larson, Denny are probably the.
Yeah. And hey, Brad did win the last time we had the spring Bristol race on concrete in 2020. That weird race. God, that time was so weird. But yeah.
Cool.
That's that. Man, I was able to get through this episode without crying. And oh my gosh, Alex, we have a new review to read. Oh,
we do.
I might cry tears of joy. Holy crap. So if you want us to read a review, leave a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts, and we will read it just like this person did. They start their review off with my favorite podcast. Oh, or your favorite podcast.
I'm so honored. Thank you so much.
So since I lost fantasy, I read it. Yo, I love this podcast so much. Every time I see yo, I'm like, yo. As an LGBTQ plus person who loves racing, this podcast existing literally helped me to be a little bit more okay with who I am. Oh, that's actually really sweet.
I know. When I read this earlier, I was like, oh.
Oh my God. My stepdad raced sprint cars. My daughter races quarter midgets. I have spent a lot of time at racetracks. Even though the track is one of my favorite places, I always had a small part of me that felt like I didn't belong. Now, because of the time we live in and things like this podcast, I feel like I do belong here. So thank you guys and keep being awesome, y'all. And that's end quote. And that's exactly how me and Alex started this, because I felt the same way at Richmond. When I go to Richmond, I see all these rednecks and I'm just like, I don't belong here. Because I think about this all the time. If I ever see what's her name? Tony Breidinger. If I ever see her walking by, I want to go slay, because I think she's so slay. I think she's so cool. Slay, Tony,
yeah.
But I can't do that because people are gonna look at me weird.
Right.
Like,
Yeah,
it's stuff
I
like
get it.
that. Like, and it's like how in Iowa, the Iowa grandstands, we didn't feel comfortable enough dancing to Gwen Stefani. It's little things like that where it's like we don't want to get hate crimed. Yeah.
It's rough. This message means a lot to me. Whenever we get messages like this, like, it just makes me feel like I belong. It's like I'm not alone. I'm not the only LGBT plus person who watches race. Just it's very appreciated when people share these with us,
Yeah.
because we had the exact same story. And as you said, at Iowa, that wasn't that long, and we were doing the podcast at that. There is still a lot of work to be done, being vocal about who we are and that we are a part of.
Yeah, it's a good thing to bring up again too, because we don't talk about it that much. Like, we don't talk about it every episode. We don't need to talk about it every episode, but it is still important because again, that's what we set out to do. And I've ended up talking about this podcast a lot more in real life, like with coworkers and stuff. And it's like I kind of have trouble explaining like our purpose and how big of a deal this is, because I just don't think people get it. Like, people don't get it because people aren't either involved in racing or people aren't gay. Like, and they don't know what it's like. So it's really hard to explain. But messages like that really do kind of just reconfirm. It validates what we're doing and why it's important. So yeah. If you want us to read, if you have a similar story, like if we've kind of changed how you feel about like being in the racing community, let us know. Like, right? Give us some content to read these next few weeks. It's really sad when we don't have something to read. So please.
Yeah, Zack cries into the crying towel.
I didn't cry yet today. I didn't cry.
I didn't cry. But for real, thank you so much for that. That is very beautiful.
It is.
And we're cheering on your daughter in those quarter mid. That's awesome.
That is cool. That is really cool. If you're listening on Spotify right now, go ahead and leave 5 stars. That helps us out too. If you have not seen our YouTube channel yet, we talked about our bonus IndyCar episode. We have a bonus episode coming up very soon that you can see first on our Patreon. If you subscribe to our Patreon, you see all our bonus content first before it goes to YouTube. We are going to have a paint scheme episode with a very special guest. And I'm very excited about it. Because I have a lot to say about some of these paint schemes. The new Toyotas look so good. They look so good. Oh my God. So that's coming up soon. So subscribe to our Patreon so you don't miss it. Thank you to everyone who's done so far. We've had a lot of support on Patreon, actually. Mm-hmm. It's gonna fund some of our indie activities. So.
Oh yeah. We're already like budgeting. This is what's gonna pay our food. Yeah. So thank you guys for keeping us fed when we go to Indy.
Yeah. So, yeah, and Alex is doing a great job on TikTok. If you're new, don't know what the crying towel is, well, check it out. Check out some clips from last week. And then what's it called? You just clip all of our funny moments. They're just clipped there. It's great. It's the best of the best. The Gay Racing Podcast. Alex does a great job on it. You can follow me at Dreamy Zack Racing, as you can see below. You can follow Alex at Newgarden, IndyCar Championship points leader. Newgarden, Joseph Newgarden, at Newgarden, if you didn't get the reference.
Place the R with the Y.
Just replace the R with the Y. But yeah, thank you so much. So this weekend in racing, it's NASCAR at Bristol, and it's IMSA at Sebring, the Sebring 12 hours. And I'm so excited. I think I'm going to actually watch it, like fully, because it's my birthday weekend, so I always get interrupted because I'm trying. Something always happens, but hopefully I'm like sat for the 12 hours because I do want to watch the whole thing without being interrupted. So that'd be nice.
Good race.
So yeah. All right. That's it. So we will see you guys next time here on the Gay Racing Podcast. Thank you so much. Thanks for the support, and we'll see you guys next time. Bye. I don't know why we're saluting. We never do this.
Oh no.
What?
That's you started salute.
Well, that's
I'm gonna salute
to Roger Penske. Roger Penske. Thank you. Joseph Newgarden. Thank you.
Joseph Newgarden.